Well, hey guys, welcome back. Broadway Limited recently released the EMD SD40. Not to be confused with the SD40-2. This is a totally different locomotive. We're going to get into these SD40s. You may have seen a short on YouTube that I provided of the CSX. This is the UP and SP version. Just letting you know they're coming. Now they're here. Let's see what you get in the box next. With my UP bias, I have selected UP to unbox. So let's go ahead and pull this box open here. Inside is the Paragon 4 Operator's Manual. Beautiful and glossy. It includes 27 pages of information from functions to maintenance to CVs. You name it, it's in here. Operation on DC, etc., etc. A separate flyer as well with more specific functions for the locomotive. 28 functions in total on this, but here is the locomotive itself in the box. We're just going to pull that right out. Got some foam surrounding it, which is always good to protect it. Then we have the blister packaging on the locomotive. It says to avoid damage on top. It says to avoid damage, you gotta make sure you turn off track power before placing the locomotive on the track. Little gel things that you do not eat, as they say. Some side bracing, pull that off. Clamshell, plastic open up. And they are doing everything in their power to make sure those handrails stay straight. So let me off camera pull out all of that bracing and we'll take a look a little closer. I have to say, I think all of that protection fared pretty well because the handrails are pretty straight on this. This is just a quick 360 before we dive in. But you can see, especially from this angle, those handrails are pretty straight. So it's good to have all that bracing. This plastic can change its form with temperature fluctuations and the like. So now we're going to zoom in on the front a bit here. Take a look. You've got cab crew figures, sunshades. There are the safety rails with white markings. Paint seems nicely applied. The thickness of the stanchions and handrails seems about on point. With a little lean forward of the front, drop step here on the nose. As you can see right there. There are some accessory hoses tucked in behind the snowplow or the pilot windows there, but the pilots do have windows, which is cool. You've got a plastic coupler with spring loaded movement and the magnetic glad hand. MU receptacle up front right here, and there are grabs on the snowplow as well. On this side of the nose, you can see predominantly the windshield wipers, which are etched metal, it appears. The marker lights, the separately applied grabs, UP shield on the front. Headlight is LED, high-mounted horn, and antenna up top as well. UP shields on the side. You've got the sunshades, which are in a nice position. Battery box doors. This is a red-silled locomotive, SD40, because that's when they were predominantly on UP anyway, is the red sill era. Dustbin hatch up top, exhaust, dynamic brake fan area, and radiator fan area is all represented on the side, along with the blower housing right here that's predominantly sticking out, if you will, from the side of the locomotive. And lift ring detail. A little hard to see, but if you look really closely, you can see all the lift rings for locomotive maintenance. Low mounted bell, speed recorder on the trucks, along with all the other truck detail. I know people get on me for not breaking down the truck detail further, so I'll just throw speed recorder in there. Jacking pad. You can see the dynamic brake area and the radiator fan grill area. It doesn't look like it's transparent on the fan grills, but it is represented with some grating there. There's the brake wheel on the back and the brake wheel stand. Number boards, more marker lights. And Just going to do a 360 here to the other side so you can see a little crew stair with white markings for their safety so they can access cab, etc., etc. So there we are, back to our 360 mark. There's just mentioning a few things on this locomotive. We'll do a quick Vanna White 360 of the SP, show you a couple differences, and we'll get in operation. Now, as you can see right off the bat with the SP, Broadway does road name specific details, like this high mounted bell compared to the UP that does not have a high mounted bell, and a few other features as well, including the nose light package. SP famous for those different light packages, but let's go ahead and proceed with just a quick 360 of the SP, pointing out some of the differences. As you can see on the nose, there's a light, basically I believe an emergency light there on the nose that is not on the UP version. Headlights are still in between the number boards. Horn still present. Looks like a different horn on the front of that. Still got your blower housing and other details. There is a handbrake molded into the front versus the rear handbrake on this locomotive. On the SP here, the AEI tag is right left of the P in Pacific there. And then you still have a lot of the details I mentioned on the other the UP version. On the back you can see those silver tipped end accessory brake hoses there. The marker lights. So you still have on the front though that they're tucked behind the plow and behind the windows of the plow there. So pretty cool. Coupler cut lever, MU stand, just like we mentioned before. Just wanted you to see the SP version with a quick 360. Let's get this into operation. Well, while we're over here, let's go ahead and grab the weight real quick. It's showing up at over a pound for this short locomotive. 1 pound, 0.7 ounces. That's 16.7 ounces total, or 474 grams. So Broadway Limited has added capacitance in these Paragon 4s. They're still compliant and accessible for use with your Rolling Thunder subwoofer if you have that, which is a really cool trackside subwoofer that just adds the bass to it. But basically to start up, for the extended startup on Broadway Limited is F9, so let's do that real quick. There, the locomotive started up. Let's listen to some sounds. Bell is number 1. Function 1. Function 2 horn. If you're a fan of Broadway Limited, you know that F22 will change the horn function, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. So you get an alternate horn, easily accessible. F3's rear lights on and off. F4 front class lights on and off. We've got F5 number boards on and off. These are all separate functions listed. Looks like I've got a F8 sometimes comes back to haunt me and mutes the locomotive for me. I'm actually increasing the RPMs of the locomotive right now. With F5. Looks like I've actually looked at the other side of this for the Pro mode. So let's look at the standard mode here, which is where we're at. That increases revolutions of the prime mover with F5 and decreases with F6. So the pro lighting mode, you have to change the CV128 and you're changing that to 1 to get the pro lighting mode where you can independently control all the lights. So now that I'm on the right side of my manual here, we'll go back through some of the sounds. F3 is coupler, and F4 is air compressor. F7 turns the class lights on and off. F8 handles master volume and mute. F9 start up and shut down as we mentioned. F10 is radiator fan. F11 is fill airlines. F12 is brake set, brake release. F13 is grade crossing, horn. F14 station sounds. F15 is yard radio chatter. F16 is maintenance radio chatter. F17 radio check chatter. F18 crew chatter in a city setting. F19 crew chatter in a farm setting. How appropriate for this. And you've got all these background sounds on F20 like industrial. See here. F21 lumber mill sounds. I already talked about 22 toggling the second horn. F23 track sounds. Whoops, sorry, wrong button. That's grade crossing. F23 here is track sounds toggle, and that's when you move it, you'll get a clickety clack. So 24 is number board lights on and off. 25 is long horn. 26 macro playback and 27 record macro. Now, I want to get to where I do a demonstration on this. It's been a couple years since I have. But 27, you hit F27, then you move the locomotive, you blow the horn, you hit the bell in whatever sequence you want, and then F27 again to stop that. And then F26 will play that sequence and speed back like a recording, like you're recording burning a CD or something and then playing it back. So it's pretty cool. And then 28, the last function is brake squeal. And then on the other side, there's a bunch of other settings for Pro mode, which includes independent lighting functions we won't cover. So we'll go ahead and move this at one speed step here. As you can see, we're moving along pretty good, but it is smooth. Hear the prime mover almost instantly respond to the decoder's movement, so that's a good sign. And you don't even have to go very fast with Broadway limited locomotives because speed step 1 is quick enough, and you can adjust that with the CVs. You can see it's smooth out the gate. Very smooth operation, no jerkiness involved at all as this is moving along at speed step 1. We'll skip the speed step testing. It's usually between 3 and 4 on Broadway limited locomotives, but I do want to do a pull test for you. It's showing up at about 2.6 ounces on this, 2.7. You can see the live reading there. And that grinding you're hearing is just from the wheels to the rail. That's not any locomotive sound issue. So starting to lose traction. You do hear the brake squeal there at least. But I'm talking about 40 to 45 regular HO freight cars per locomotive, which is not bad for a locomotive this short. We can rotate directly into seeing the class lights on the back of the locomotive illuminated here. You can see that, and we'll move to the front to show you those and kill some lighting a little bit. You see that lighting on the front with the class lights, headlight, and even the Mars light lit. Trying to find the function for this red light here. I think that's operational as well. I'm not sure what it is. I'll try to list that below on the details if I can locate that later off screen. Here's a quick look at the UP version. There's the horn and the alternate horn. Oops. There's the alternate horn there. We got some lumber mill sounds in there as well. But also a smooth runner as well. Just wanted to show you. You see the cab light go out. That's after you get to 3 speed steps and it starts moving. Cab light will go out in the cab, so it's pretty neat as well. The stop, it goes on. So, you know, the crew's in there looking around and messing with stuff. So it's a pretty cool representation of that. We have one crew figure on the other side there, but beautiful locomotive and smooth runner. You saw the CSX in the short we did, but I'll show you again just the CSX scheme. Really pretty scheme. Locomotive YN3. And this is more modern. You can see the FRA reflected tape along the bottom edge there, even though it's mixing with the yellow sill. You can see that kind of standing out as a striping looking thing as they put reflective tape there on the bottom. But this is the CSX SD40 for modern day operations. Well, let's wrap this review up with a power move. I think this is a great locomotive, and you can see it in operation now as we do this power move. We'll see you next time right here on my channel. Thanks for watching. Take care.